diapers compared to us. This is how they talk. Compared to us, the Persians, the Ayatollahs. So from every point of view, the national one and the religious one, they will tell us what to do. This is how they relate to all these pressures which are maintained on them. They are proud of themselves. Some would say full of themselves. But this is how they look at what happens. Since they look at this, at the world from this point of view, they name America Al-Istikbar, which is in Arabic and in Persian, those who are proud for no reason. What causes the Americans to feel patronizing us or to patronize us by telling us what to do and what not to do? They are istikbar. They are full of themselves with no reason, those Americans. And to this, they are infidels who drink wine and eat swines, pigs, okay? So this is how they look at the whole thing, from this point of view. And from now, everything is tactics. They can cheat, they can deceive, because who cares about Americans, what they say, what they think? Who are they? We say what we want to say, and let them jump in the lake if they find any. This is how they relate to this. Add to this, and here comes the Sunni Shia component of their culture. A long history, Shiites, in order to survive in a hostile Sunni environment, developed the ability to deceive the environment, to think that they are Sunnis, to behave like Sunnis, while in their hearts they are still loyal to the Shia Islam. To a degree, I'll give you some examples. According to the Shia, whenever you mention some names of those caliphs who took the caliphate from Ali bin Abi Talib, the Shiites should spit. Umar, Uthman, Abu Bakr, or women like Aisha, every time they hear this name, they are supposed to spit. But if you spit, everybody will know that you are a Shiite. And you will be decapitated. So what can you do in order to survive? There is what to do. You can swallow your saliva, and when you are at home, nobody sees you, you can spit it there. Okay, well, this is a good way how to get out of it. You spit, but not at the same time, later. Okay? After all, we have to survive. A Shiite will never call his children in these names. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, or if he has a daughter, she will never be named Aisha, because all these were against Ali, the founder of the Shia. But if you don't name any of your children one of these names, people will suspect that you are a Shiite. So according to Shia, you are allowed to name your children, at least one of them, with these names in order to make face as if you are a Sunni. Now, this whole thing of deception is called taqiyya. Taqiyya means how to survive by deception in hostile environment. They can lie without blinking to a degree that today it is well known in police organizations all over the world that if you catch a Shiite and you want to know the truth through polygraph, it's a big problem because he doesn't have the physiological reactions to lies as there are people who know that they lie and they don't want to lie. Okay, this is, it's very hard to detect, to use these lie detectors with them because they are used to live in such life where lie is part of their culture in order to survive in hostile environment. Today, when they sit with the negotiators, they have absolutely no problem to say one thing while they don't believe in it at all. They don't blink, they don't sweat, their heartbeat is the same pace, and they talk naturally, and people are deceived to think that they mean what they say, and they say what they mean. But this is their ability to behave, and they use it big time when it comes to the negotiations around the nuclear program. So where are we now? We are facing a nation, or we are facing a group of people who are more than sure that they are guided by Allah. Whatever they think, whatever they do is a divine decision, that all those who demand anything from them regarding the nuclear issue have no right to talk to them because they are infidels, wine drinkers, and pig eaters. And they are much more developed than others because they are ancient nation since they were still in diapers. So this is the mindset when they enter the negotiation room. So how can you deal with them? They have very good physicists and mathematicians, and they can develop whatever they like. The ratio of graduates in Iran from academic institutions is one of the highest in the world. It's a very, very educated nation. So people should take them very seriously when it comes to all kinds of threats. What can be done with them? And look, I don't know what really will happen during the coming half a year. Will they obey or work according to the agreement or not? I don't know. But definitely, the world should take in account the possibility that with the agreement to stop the development of nuclear weapons, they will continue to do it in a clandestine way, in some dungeon under the mountain somewhere hidden where nobody goes. And Iran is big enough to hide many things without knowledge of anyone. So definitely this should be taken in account. However, there is a question, what can be done? Let's assume that half a year or sometime in the future, we find that they are about to produce a nuclear bomb. And if they do, they will control the whole Middle East. So far, they are controlling Iraq, their neighbor from the West. After America, 4,000 American soldiers were killed in Iraq, and $1 trillion were poured on this country. Today, on Iraq, today Iran controls Iraq almost totally. Almost totally. Afghanistan, the Western troops will leave Afghanistan at the end of this year of 2014. I think that within less than a month, this whole country will be under Iranian rule as well. The Kuwaitis already discussing joining to Iran peacefully rather than being occupied by Iran, because by joining Iran peacefully, they will have better terms. The Saudis and the Qataris and those from the United Arab Emirates are shaking out of fear because they don't see the world come to deter Iran from taking this part of the Gulf. A few years ago, a delegation of parliament members from Kuwait visited Iran and met with the head of the International Relations Committee in the Iranian parliament, a guy named Rouhani, who is today the president. And in the meeting, he told them clearly, explicitly, that he showed them the map and he put his hand on the Gulf, I mean the Arab part of the Gulf, on the left side, and he said, this part of the world will be Iranian very soon. Rouhani said it when he was a parliament member. Maybe now he came to power in order to carry out what he already promised. This is what will be, if Iran succeeds to have control over this region, Iraq and the Gulf, Iran will control almost 60% of the world reserves of oil and gas. Almost 60%. They will be able to manipulate the prices of oil and gas. And economies like Greece, Italy, France, Spain might be in danger if the Iranians will be willing to topple them financially. What could be done with the Iranians in order to stop this expansionism, and which might be armed with a nuclear bomb? Not much. Only one thing. The world should send them a message, short and clear. Guys, your game is finished and your time is over. You have a week, exactly a week, to ship out of Iran your facilities which are connected to the military nuclear program. After a week, exactly a week from now, means from the message, we start to flatten you totally. Read our lips, take us seriously. We will not say it again. Don't call us, and we will not call you. A week exactly. When they hear this threat, and they will hear the engines of the airplanes warming up, preparing to do it, they will take it seriously. And the more credible the threat is, the less are the chances that you have to use it, because they will comply. How do I know this? Twice it happened. As you might remember, in 1979, right after the revolution, they bursted into the American embassy and they caught 52, I think, American diplomats, and they held them for 444 days. A year and a half, more than a year and a half. When did these boys were released? At the same second when President Ronald Reagan was sworn as a president. When he raised his hand to swear allegiance to the Constitution, the airplane which carried those 50 men left the Iranian airspace. Why? 444 days of Jimmy Carter didn't help. And 1 second of Ronald Reagan already released them? How can you explain it? He sent them a message before he was elected, after he was elected, before he came to office, that the minute that he lands in the White House, he will flatten them, flatten Iran, if they don't release the boys immediately. They took him seriously. This was a credible threat. So they released the boys. Another occasion was in 2003, after the invasion to Iraq. They knew that after the United States and others, NATO, will be able to get rid of Saddam, and this happened within 2 weeks, the Americans and others might go in Iran. So they stopped their military nuclear program. For 3 years. They resumed it after 3 years in 2006. What happened between 2003 and 2006? What happened in Iraq was viewed as a credible threat because America and other nations are doing what they say. They invade and they fight and they kick Saddam. Wow, they are dangerous. They mean what they say, and they say what they mean, and they do what they say. So they stopped the nuclear program. Little by little, they saw America and the other nations sinking in the Iraqi swamp. Not only this, the Iranians started, like after half a year, towards the end of 2003, to send explosives and weapons and ammunition and money to the insurgents, to the insurgents inside Iraq against the Americans. And the American intelligence had all the evidence it needed that Iran is behind the insurgency. They had enormous amount of evidence that Iran is there. And America didn't do anything against it. So they understood that America is a paper tiger. They started to have this impression in 2004. It was strengthened in 2005. And when they understood that America would not do anything against Iran for killing American soldiers, they started again their nuclear program in 2006. So this is the reason why I say that when they sense a credible threat, they understand the hint. And they do what they are supposed to do. But when they understand that the threat is no threat, they continue to look at the others as wine drinkers and swine eaters, and continue with what they think that Allah orders them to do in order to expand their hegemony over the region and maybe come back, inshallah, to the empire which they had 6,000 years ago. This is Iran. This is how they think. And now I think everybody understands how Iran should be dealt with.
Dr. Kedar, I don't know if it's on or not.
It is on. You have to speak closely.
Okay, so back in 2008, 2009, I believe there was a popular uprising in Tehran.
Yeah.
And some people saying that if our president had done more, it might have accomplished an overthrow of that government. Do you believe that would have been possible at that time?
No.
Okay.
Because, look, the same thing repeated itself when the demonstrations against Mubarak erupted in January 2011, and everybody accused the President Obama that he one day said that Mubarak should remain in power, and the day after he, as people say, threw him under the bus. You know what? Neither the situation in Tehran of 2008, neither the situation in Cairo in 2011 would make any difference. Not everything which the American president says has any influence in the Middle East. Not in Tehran and not in Cairo. The Middle East today is full of states which do not take America seriously. I think that the last country in the Middle East which still takes United States of America seriously is Israel, the last one. All the others couldn't care less about what American presidents say or not. So what do you think? That if a president, and regardless whoever it is, from Democrats, from the Republicans, never mind, if he says something to the regime in Iran, don't do it. What do you think that they will do it? The only one who did it, you know what happened with the Shah. The Shah, when towards the end of 1978, there were demonstrations against the Shah. So then the president, Jimmy Carter, demanded that he doesn't shoot into demonstrations. So that since those people saw that they can demonstrate against the Shah and stay alive, more and more came, until one Friday there was a demonstration of 2 million people in the streets of Tehran. So the Shah had to run away. And everybody today accuses Jimmy Carter for banning the usage of weapons in order to disseminate those demonstrations. This is where when America has an influence. When a American president forbids a president, or forbids a ruler or a dictator, never mind, to use weapons, and this dictator, because of this ban, falls, this is when America has an influence. But the Ayatollahs will never listen to America. Who are the Americans? If they decided by the divine decision that they have to shoot those demonstrators, so they will never listen to those, to Obama or whoever sits in the White House. It doesn't really matter. So neither in 2008 nor in 2011.
Assuming that Obama takes your advice to give Iran an ultimatum, and then they clear their facilities, they deliver it all out of Iran, what would you suggest to keep them from not building something underground, or what protocols or policies would you implement?
Look, at the end of the Second World War, the situation was that the Allied forces could impose on Nazi Germany whatever they wanted, because they surrendered and they were forced to sign whatever was dictated to them. I think that this is what should be done. They should sign something which allows inspection at any minute and in every place. And if this is what they sign, and this is what the world is doing, it will be possible to make sure that they don't develop anything which is not allowed. Matter of how to be, firm and resoluted in what you demand, what you do. If you are weak, you project weakness, they take advantage of it. Why not?
I read in the news that Russia seems to be a friend of Iran. Could you share some thoughts on that, why it is so?
There is a meeting of interests between Russia and Iran, especially when it comes to the hegemony or to remove the United States of America from the hegemony of the world. This is a marriage of convenience. This is not marriage of love. Because the Russians, and at the end of the day, know that as much as the Americans are wine drinkers, they are vodka drinkers. And this is even worse. So the Iranians view the Russians as no better than the Americans, yet the Russians can be useful idiots by supplying Iran with nuclear facilities to produce electricity. They can protect the Iranian back in the United Nations Security Council and other international bodies like the IAEA. And the Russians want to invest in Iran, just like many companies in the West who are lining near the Iranian door in order to have some pennies out of the Iranians. So it's a matter of interests which they share. To a large degree, but not all the way, because Russia apparently does not support the military nuclear program of the Iranians, because Russia knows that one day, if they have it, it might be directed at the Russians, and the Russians are closer to Iran than America. So they know that, that's some kind of interests, but not full cooperation.
Yes, I'd like to ask two questions. One is, would you speak to what Israel's strategy is in this, in how to deal with the nuclear threat from Iran, and what their strategy is? And then secondly, given that there is not an ultimatum to flatten Iran in a week, under the current system that is being pursued now for peace or to move forward, would you make a prediction where you think things will be in 1 year and in 5 years?
Okay.